What's up, guys? Raining Spider-Man here, and yeah, I just saw Venom. That's a thing. Alright, so I was not looking forward to this movie because it was being made for all the wrong reasons. It's just another one of Sony's desperate attempts to have their own cinematic universe because they want one so fucking bad. They tried doing that with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and then they tried Ghostbusters, and now they're doing this shit. It's just a desperate studio corporate move to imitate what Marvel's doing, and it's so frustrating that they're doing it with Marvel characters. That already was like a big, really, come on, sort of thing. And then, besides the fucking shitty reasons behind it, like, Venom, that's the main character. Like, Venom is the type of making a Venom solo standalone movie is kind of like making a Bizarro Superman standalone movie. Venom is so intertwined into Spider-Man that to have him on it, he doesn't work on his own because that's such a big part of what the character is, going past like his motivation, going to his design. He looks like Spider-Man. He has Spider-Man eyes, and yet in this movie where there's no Spider-Man, we're supposed to just accept this fucking monster thing that looks just like Spider-Man, with the face at least. So it's just a frustrating, obviously corporate move. So, like, even with the talent that could be behind it, it's hard to get past the studio's motivations. So right off the bat, I'm like seeing trailers for this movie and all these shitty plans that Sony has for this really shitty universe, and the whole time just thinking like, oh my god, this is going to be a fucking train wreck. So it comes out, right? And not getting good reviews. What a shock. I didn't have any expectations going to see it. The only thing I was expecting was Tom Hardy to be good, because Tom Hardy is pretty good casting for Eddie Brock. Like, Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 3 is a guilty pleasure, but Topher Grace, Eddie Brock, like, no, that is a bad fucking choice and a very scrawny Venom. But Tom Hardy I could actually see working quite well. So I was okay with the casting of him. I didn't know anything else, though. I didn't know anything else. So 2 angles to go at this. One, just everyday moviegoer, just, you know, whatever. Don't really pay attention to the source material, just going to the movies to see, just to turn my brain off and have fun. And then there's the comic book nerd sort of viewpoint, which I have to specify, I'm not a big comic book nerd person. I haven't read any comics or any Venom comics particularly in a couple of years, so I'm going off a few-year-old memory. And also, just to clarify with that, though, that just because it's in the comic or just what it means in the comic, whatever, doesn't mean it is good. When it's translated to film, doesn't mean it belongs in a film. And if it's dumb in the comic, I'll allow a change for the movie. But, okay, so let's go into average moviegoer. This is not a good movie. It is not. It's a fucking mess. And you can tell that it was killed in editing. Because it starts off, like, people were saying, like, oh, this should have been an R, it should have been an R. Like, I don't necessarily believe that a Venom movie would have to be an R, because if you look at a movie like Hunger Games Mockingjay, both of them actually, they're both PG-13, but they border on R, but not in a way that it's distracting or it feels like things are missing. Here, it definitely does feel like things are missing. On top of that story where Tom Hardy said 40 minutes of film was cut, which it fucking shows. Shows the symbiote bonding to somebody. Like, a ship crashes with a couple symbiotes, bonds to somebody, and one escapes, and then 3 are taken to the Life Foundation, which the villain, the corporation in this movie, I'm partly grateful it's not Oscorp because I'm so sick of that company being in every fucking Spider-Man related movie doing evil shit. So I'm glad it's not them. But this Life Foundation, I can't tell if they're supposed to be like government powered because of stuff that happens later. But I know I'm kind of all over the place. But don't worry, so it's the fucking movie. But Tom Hardy's performance, he's really good. Like, I did not think he would be that great going from the trailers. I thought he was ideal casting, but the way he was talking, like, you know, Eddie Brock, you know, he's like fidgety, and like, I don't know, that's really Eddie Brock. But when you see him in the movie, he's actually quite good. And some of the origins are changed, like, because of no Spider-Man. Like, Eddie Brock loses his job because he's kind of like, in this, he's kind of like borderline Alex Jones, kind of, but not, you know, like, fucking crazy. But he gets fired from his job because he's interviewing the Life Foundation leader, who's the villain of this movie, who is a fucking awful, boring, bland villain. And he brings up all the, you know, this dirty shit that the company's doing, which, why did this company hire this guy to do the interview? Like, don't you... Really, you're going to pick this guy to be your interviewer? So right off the bat, that's dumb, and then his girlfriend dumps him, and that's similar to the comics, but not quite, but whatever. And then it cuts to 6 months later. The whole time, the symbiote is in Malaysia, bonded to some random lady, and then 6 months passes, and it's still bonded to that lady. But the whole movie is showing that, like, yeah, the symbiote's got to find somebody that they're compatible with to latch onto, and like Eddie Brock is like one of the only ones. But as the movie progresses, the rules of this become less and less clear to the point where you're like, it's fucking, what are the rules? Like, what can you guys not bond to? Because you seem to be able to bond to anybody. So Eddie Brock's just he goes like in a downward slump trying to find a job, and it's 6 months later. He really couldn't find a job in 6 months. In 6 months, like, you couldn't find a job. Like, he's a pretty well-known guy. He had, like, his own... I couldn't tell if it was an internet or a TV show. But, yeah, so he couldn't find a job. Why? Okay. But then, he gets approached by this one woman who worked at the Life Foundation, telling him that the CEO of the Life Foundation is doing all sorts of evil shit with these symbiotes, testing them on homeless people, and the homeless people, the volunteers, are dying. And it's, you know, unethical and all that. So she breaks him into the building, which I guess has no security cameras, because later on they're looking for Eddie Brock. They don't have a fucking camera to check. So, but yeah, and Eddie Brock sees like one of the homeless people they're testing on is a woman he knows, so he tries to break her out. Which fucking glass in this movie is very inconsistent, because it can hold this alien symbiote with unbelievable power, but goddamn, you could sure break it with a hammer or a fucking fire extinguisher. And then the symbiote bonds to Eddie Brock. The homeless woman dies, and he escapes because of the powers of the symbiote. And then he's like kind of like a drug. He's kind of like tweaking the whole movie, or like not the whole movie, but like from this point for like a couple, like 15 minutes, he's just walking around tweaking and hears a voice in his head and all this shit. And that stuff is fine, and really that should have been the whole movie, would be Eddie Brock and Venom trying to find harmony within each other to occupy the same body, because there's no reason Venom is sticking around with Eddie Brock at all. Like, if they said that Eddie can't lose Venom because Eddie will die, if they said that Venom can't leave Eddie because he may never find another compatible host and just like, you know, waste away, that would be one thing. But it's like Venom, I think he even says that Eddie is essentially his ride, and their chemistry, like their back and forth, is kind of entertaining, but a lot of it is just Venom telling Eddie what to do, and then Eddie being like, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that, and then Venom doing it anyway. That's a lot of what it is. They get when there's this action scene where we first see Venom, like full Venom, and first of all, Venom has like this sixth sense that's incredibly inconsistent, because he kind of says it when he wants and then doesn't, and notices things when he wants and then doesn't. And then they break out and they go on this action scene with this overly long car chase, and the editing in this movie is terrible, but this car chase, oh my fucking god, it gets so boring. It gets so fucking boring. How do you make a car chase boring? And in this car chase, the Life Foundation is like blowing up cars and shit, trying to get the symbiote back, and it's like, you're a corporate. You are not the fucking SWAT team. This is terrible fucking PR for you guys. Like, what are you doing? You are destroying half the city for your project. If you have any idea if this shit gets out, your whole corporation is going to be fucking shut down. And this fucking villain in this corporation, I don't understand his fucking motivation in the slightest. I don't know what this fucking guy wants. He keeps talking about like, oh, the human race is weak. We need to save the human race. We need to, like, what is happening that makes you so fucking concerned? And why are these symbiotes that you can't even get to fucking work on people? Why are these things the key? Why are these the key? The human body is so poorly designed. Well, fucking, it seems like these symbiotes aren't much better because they're fucking dying too. For nothing. And the whole time, while all this shit with Eddie and Venom is going on, in the background we keep seeing this other symbiote keep jumping from body to body, and the compatibility of this shit is all over the place because this Venom bonds with Eddie. I can accept that Eddie just happens to be a good fit for Venom, but like the other symbiote just bonds from person to person, and it doesn't seem to really affect anything. He was in this Malaysian woman for 6 fucking months. The body didn't reject him or anything. And all that time, all he did with that is go to an airport. Why did it take 6 months to get to an airport? It makes no fucking sense. And then he bonds to a kid and gets on the plane. And from the he was in one person for 6 months and then is jumping from body to body very quickly. But why were you in the one body for 6 months? And if that one body could hold you for 6 months, why did you even bother looking for someone else? Like, it seems you found a match. Sure, it was like an old Malaysian lady, but it fucking worked, didn't it? So, that really drove me crazy. And then, when Eddie gets out of that action scene, Venom, in the middle of the action scene, Venom goes full Venom, and people are complaining about the effects of Venom, and I don't think the effects are that bad. The problem is the type of character Venom is. Being a symbiote, it's supposed to look kind of gooey and shiny, and when that's in CG, it's hard to make it look realistic. So I don't think the effects are necessarily bad, but I can see why it would look weird to people. The biggest fault in this movie a lot is the editing is really destroying a lot of the movie. And you could tell Tom Hardy is trying because he is giving a very good performance, acting against nothing 90% of the time, and he's doing it well. Like, there's a scene where he's talking to Venom on the bridge, and Venom's kind of like a snake almost coming out of him. It's just a Venom head talking to him. And, yeah, it looks kind of fake, but it looks like it's jumped straight from the comic book panel. So, I didn't mind that it looked fake, because Tom Hardy's playing it like it's really there. And the Venom voice is great. I really like the Venom voice. I don't know if they changed it, because I think in the first trailer where they really revealed Venom, it sounded kind of weird. But I thought it sounded fine here. But then Eddie goes to see his love interest, his ex-girlfriend, who, by the way, they when their relationship is like shown in the beginning, it is so overly lovey-dovey to the point where I wanted to fucking gag. Like, I've been with my wife for many years. We do not act like this shit. This is his fucking fiance. For I think less time than we've been together, and they're, oh my god, you're cute, you're cute, you're cute, you're cute. It fucking gag me. And then in a millisecond, she hates his fucking guts, which I would understand being mad at him, because when the movie starts, Eddie's kind of a fucking idiot. And that's consistent with the comic, but you have to, if you're gonna do that, you gotta kind of make Eddie look like a bastard. But they don't do that. They make him look like a fucking lovable schlub. He's like a fucking Adam Sandler protagonist who does stupid shit. But, oh god, he's just so charming. But Tom Hardy gets away with it more than fucking Adam Sandler does. But his love interest is suddenly, like, super forgiving of him after he goes to try to show her and her new fiance, like, the evidence of the Life Corporation's evil bullshit. She forgives him quite quickly, or she's, like, concerned for him quickly, which beforehand it was like she hated his guts. Now she's like, oh, Eddie, my buddy Eddie, my friend Eddie. And, I mean, to this movie's credit, they don't make her new fiance look like the typical douchebag, like, oh, who's this guy, man? Who's this guy? Oh, Eddie. Yeah. Just told me a lot about you. Yeah, still running your little news site. No, they don't do that. He seems like actually a nice guy. But when they take Eddie to the hospital, they give him an MRI. The MRI detects Venom. That I don't know why. That just feels weird to me. That this MRI can detect fucking Venom, and the Venom starts screaming and shit because of the frequency. Which I know frequency is Venom's weakness, but do they do that? Is there like that noise in MRIs? I've only had one MRI, and that was over 10 years ago, and it was quite silent and boring. So I don't know if that frequency thing exists there, but whatever. And then Venom, Eddie and Venom, they keep going back and forth. Venom's like, oh, you're my ride, and my species is going to come down and eat everybody. And okay, like, the thing is, like, it would be interesting. I know Venom is not pure villain. He's kind of an anti-hero. The only person Venom, like, really, really wants to kill is Spider-Man, which doesn't fucking work with this scenario. So, and it seems like the angle Sony was trying to go with this was to make it a superhero movie. But to a general audience member, I take one look at Venom and I think that's a fucking villain. And they should play, if they're gonna do that, it'd be cool if they found a way to make a super villain movie work, but they aren't smart enough to do that. The only way I could see that working is that the whole time Eddie and Venom, they need each other and they have to create rules together. Like maybe Eddie's like, we can kill one bad person a night. If we just kill one bad person a night, and that's it. That's all I'll allow from you. And Venom was like, well, I need this body. Okay, whatever. Like if it was the whole movie was them trying to learn to coexist, that'd be one thing, but it's not. It falls into typical superhero movie cliches. So Eddie and Venom break into Eddie's old job's boss's room, which for some fucking reason they go all the way to the top of the building. Why the boss's office is not at the top of the building, and then a fucking plane goes over and Venom's like, the frequencies, and then falls and then catches Eddie. It's completely fucking pointless. There's one joke in the movie, and they try a lot of humor in the movie, and 90% of the time it fails. But there's one joke where Venom wants Eddie to jump out the window, and I'm not going to spoil it, but right there, that was a good joke. But then when he leaves the building, he gets attacked by, I don't know if it's the SWAT team or the Light Foundation, I fucking forget. But he kicks their asses, and for some fucking reason, love interest is here, and sees sees Venom, and then it turns into Eddie, and then she's like, get in the car, we're going to the doctor's. First of all, reaction please? Like, you couldn't fucking look at that and be like, holy shit, you were a demon person. What's up with that? No, just get in the car, you jerk. And Venom, for no fucking reason, is like,
get in the car.
But she's like, we're taking you to the doctor's office. Venom's last time at the doctor's office was with the MRI, and it nearly fucking killed him, so why would he be like, get in the car? It doesn't make any sense. And then when he's in the car, this is where Venom's character in this movie is so fucking inconsistent, because when he starts off, he seems menacing and creepy, like he's gonna be that fucking evil character, but then as it fucking progresses, he's basically turning into Deadpool, where he's just coming in with corny quips and stupid shit. And in this fucking car ride, it was baffling, where Venom is telling Eddie, he's like,
"Oh, Eddie, you never confessed your love for her. You never got all those feelings off your chest. You should talk to her."
What the fuck do you care? Where did this sudden interest in his relationship fucking come from? Why? And really, is that what somebody goes to a Venom movie to see? Venom giving relationship counseling? That sounds like a Robot Chicken sketch. It is the dumbest shit. And in the fucking car ride, Venom's just randomly listing his weaknesses to the love interest. He's just like,
we don't like noise. And fire, we don't like fire.
Why are you telling us that? Imagine you be like in a car ride with Superman, and Superman just being like, gee, I sure hate kryptonite. Oh, yeah, that sucks. You got any of that on me? Oh boy, I'd be dead meat. And they take Eddie to the fucking doctor's office and you get an MRI. And guess what? Venom freaks out. It's like, no, it sucks. And then they get separated and Eddie, it's almost like in a buddy cop movie where they're like, the main characters hate each other for no reason. But it's Tom Hardy yelling at a CGI blob on a window, which, again, glass is inconsistent in this movie because somehow Venom can't break out of this glass in a doctor's office. Fucking what? And the whole time this is happening, you keep seeing this other symbiote going around and bonding to people, and I still don't get the fucking rules. Like, how is it able to bond to people when in the whole point of the Life Foundation's trials was to see if it would bond to people, and it always rejected except for Eddie. But this thing can just jump from person to person. And this symbiote is a character in the comic I'm not that familiar with called Riot, which I'm not familiar with that character, but regardless, it probably should have been Carnage, and we'll get to Carnage, but this other symbiote is not it's not even a character, it's just a bad guy. There's no character, there's no motivation. It complements the villain, like the other villain of the Life Foundation, but it complements them in the same way that they both want nothing. They just want to do bad shit, but at least the Life Foundation has this stupid, somewhat logic in his head, I guess. I don't fucking know. But then, Tom Hardy gets fucking captured, and he's brought to the Life Foundation. They're like, where's Venom? Where's Venom? He's like, I got rid of him. So then they go to execute Tom Hardy, and Venom fucking bonded to his girlfriend because fucking what are the rules? Why does Venom need Eddie in this movie? Why does he need Eddie? Fuck Eddie. Fuck Eddie. He doesn't seem to need him at all. And he bonds to, when he rebonds to Eddie, they want to stop Riot, and it's like, why do you want to stop Riot all of a sudden?
Oh, I've come to like this planet.
Fucking why? I don't understand. I know in the comics, Venom is an anti-hero. Like, he does help people when he's with Eddie at some points, but, like, there's no lead up to this. There's no motivation for this. He just suddenly wants to fucking help, and it makes no goddamn sense. And then the fucking the other symbiote, Riot, bonds with the fucking the main villain, and when they have the fight, first of all, this villain just has a rocket on standby to go to space and get more Oh, okay. He just has it on standby. But then they have this fucking climax, which is garbage. It is a terrible fucking climax because both of these villains, not only do they look exactly the same, but they sound exactly the same. And with the terrible editing, I can't tell what the fuck is happening. I can't tell who's fucking fighting who's winning. The only time it comes clear is for a second when Eddie and Venom and Riot become separated from their two hosts, Eddie and the Life Foundation owner, who gets up and starts kicking Eddie's ass. I'm sorry, this guy is scrawny as shit, and Eddie is fucking Tom Hardy. I am not going to believe for a second that this guy is going to kick Eddie's ass without a symbiote. Eventually he gets a symbiote, and the whole time this fight is happening, for some fucking reason, love interest is like Lois Lane, where she's just around for no fucking reason, just doing things in the climax that don't make any sense. She's just fucking there, and there's no reason for her to be there. She doesn't do anything, I don't think. She just kind of hangs out in the lab like, oh, that's some shit over there. Oh, yeah, that's some shit over there. So, and then there's this fucking, the ending, fucking Venom sacrifices himself and then is believed to be dead, and it cuts to, like, happily ever after with fucking, like, they act like no time, they act like it's just another day. There's no charges against Eddie. We never hear anything about the Life Foundation, whatever. It just wraps itself up in a nice little bow, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about Venom. And I burst out laughing in the theater because I'm sorry to hear about Venom. Are you for fucking real? Like, what? But then it turns out Venom didn't die, and They leave it open for a fucking sequel that may happen because this is doing good at the box office, but shouldn't happen because this is a crappy movie and a crappy idea and will make a crappy universe, especially when they've introduced that post-credit scene where they build up to Carnage and it looks stupid and corny and I don't care. But yeah, the action in this movie is not good. You can't tell what the fuck is happening. The tone is all over the place. It is a mess. You can tell things are missing. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I have a feeling it was going to be something different originally, but then the studio fucked with it. This is exactly what I thought it was going to be, and everybody attached to this movie was too good for it. Tom Hardy was too good for this movie. Most of the cast is perfectly fine. The directing, I can't even tell you if it's good or bad because the editing is all over the place. And with Sony's history, you know it could be because of them. Because they just have a habit of fucking with a perfectly good vision. They fucking hire these directors that have ideas and then fuck with them. You look at fucking Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2. Clearly those fucking directors, Sam Raimi and Mark Webb, had different visions in mind than the final product. They got fucked with because that's what Sony fucking does. So I really, really did not like this movie. And it's so annoying because as it was progressing, I wanted to like the movie. I really did. But it just got dumber and dumber and dumber. And when Venom says he was a loser and an outcast, like, fucking come on, take one look at that guy. Sure, you can fucking tell me about the comic, how Venom may be an outcast, whatever. You don't need to translate that into a movie, especially when he fucking looks like that. It's like if Bane said he was like a loser or a nerd. Tom Hardy again. But yeah, it's just dumb. I really did not like this movie. There's one part I enjoyed, which was the joke when he was going to jump off the building. But other than that, there was really nothing I really cared for. The final score for this movie is a 3 out of 10. What saves it? Tom Hardy definitely is a big reason. Some of the ideas of what you could do with Venom, they're completely squandered, but you could tell there was a creative spark, at least with the director. You can tell he wanted to do this. You could tell Tom Hardy wanted to be Venom. And I don't mind how Venom looks so much. But, yeah, the tone is awful. The tone is inconsistent. The editing this is like Suicide Squad bad editing. It's a fucking mess, and I just feel exhausted thinking about it. So, yeah, that's it. Look forward to this month. I got another Ranting Spider-Man coming up this month and next month. We're building up to something in December that I'm not going to spoil. I did make a Twitter account, Ranting Spider-Man, or I'll plug it in the description because I couldn't do the full name. But yeah, go see a different movie. Don't see Venom. I hear the new Halloween movie's good. Go see that. And one more point for Venom. It ends with an Eminem song. So yeah, there's nothing left. So thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.